I never thought my own wife would be the one to humiliate me in front of her friends. It started at dinner last Friday night. She had invited 3 of her closest girlfriends over. Women I'd never really liked but tolerated for her sake. We sat around the dining table, laughter flowing, wine glasses clinking, when one of them made a jab about lazy men. That's when my wife smirked, looked at me, and said, "Some people don't even have jobs but still manage to eat like kings." The table burst into laughter. All eyes were on me. I clenched my jaw but forced a polite smile. They thought I was unemployed. They thought I was just another husband leeching off his wife's money. And the most insulting part? My wife never corrected them. Instead, she doubled down. He spends most of his time at home. You know, video games, naps, scrolling online. It's like I'm married to a teenager again. Her friends roared. I sat there quietly, letting the humiliation seep in. But what they didn't know, was that I wasn't unemployed at all. I was the owner of the very company my wife and her 3 friends worked at. Yes, the company they bragged about. The company they thought kept them financially secure. The company whose policies they complained about in hushed tones. Never realizing their words would one day reach, I had kept my identity quiet for a reason. I wanted to know who I could trust. My wife never asked about my work, never cared about what I was building. All she ever wanted was to parade around with her friends and make sure she looked good at the very man who built it from the ground up. I had kept my identity quiet for a reason. I wanted to know who I could trust. My wife never asked about my work, never cared about what I was building. All she ever wanted was to parade around with her friends and make sure she looked good. That night, when the laughter finally died down, I excused myself. I went into my study and pulled up the company files. I looked at each of their names, my wife, her friends, and the list of complaints that had piled up against them from other employees. Gossiping, skipping deadlines, abusing their positions. And then I remembered their mocking faces. That's when I decided. Enough was enough. The plan. I didn't act right away. No, that would have been too easy. Too kind. Instead, I let the weekend pass, watching how my wife strutted around the house like she had won something. She never apologized. In fact, she bragged to me Sunday night. "You know, my friends said they don't understand how I put up with you. Maybe they're right." Her words sliced through me like knives. So on Monday morning, I went to the office, not as the invisible husband, but as the CEO. When I walked into the boardroom, the executive stood, greeting me with respect. That respect, something my wife had long stopped giving me, reignited the fire in my chest. I told my team exactly what was going to happen. By the end of the day, the paperwork was ready. Termination letters. Evidence of misconduct. Everything airtight. But I wasn't going to send them through email or HR. No, this had to be that evening. My wife and her friends came home together, still buzzing with laughter. They had gone out for drinks after work. I was waiting in the living room. "Rough day?" I asked casually. They laughed. One of her friends rolled her eyes. "The company's been so strict lately. Whoever runs it must be a nightmare." I smiled. "Is that so?" My wife sat across from me, crossing her legs like a queen on her throne. "Don't mind us, honey. You wouldn't understand office life anyway." That was it. The last straw. I stood, walked to my study, and came back with 4 envelopes. I laid them neatly on the table. "What's this?" my wife asked. "Your termination letters," I said calmly. The room fell silent. Her friends exchanged nervous glances, then burst out laughing, thinking it was a joke. But I didn't laugh. I looked each of them in the eye. "I'm the owner of the company you all work for. And as of today, none of you are employed there anymore." The color drained from their faces. My wife froze, her smirk shattering into disbelief. "Why, you're lying," she stammered. I slid the documents closer. "Read them." They did. Their hands trembled as they flipped through the pages. Termination for misconduct. Breach of ethics. Proof of negligence. All signed by me. My wife shot up from her chair. "You can't do this. I'm your wife." I met her eyes unflinching. "You mocked me. You humiliated me. You never once asked what I did with my time, what I was building, who I really was." You chose to believe I was nothing, and you convinced your friends of the same. But the truth is, I gave you everything, and you threw it away." Her friends scrambled, begging, apologizing, their arrogance evaporating in seconds. But I didn't bend. "Security will collect your office belongings tomorrow," I said. "You're all done." The following days were chaos. Word spread quickly in the company. Employees who had suffered under their arrogance cheered. For the first time in months, morale skyrocketed. At home, though, the silence was deafening. My wife avoided me at first, then turned desperate. "You can't just end my career like this," she cried one night. "You ended it yourself," I replied coldly. The marriage unraveled. She had never loved me for who I was, only for what she thought I lacked. And when she realized I had been the power all along, her pride couldn't handle it. She moved out within weeks, her friends scattering too. As for me, I focused on my company. My employees respected me more than ever. I poured my energy into building something stronger, something lasting. And every so often, I'd hear whispers about my ex-wife and her friends, struggling to find new jobs, their reputations forever tarnished. Karma had done its work. The lesson. Looking back, the whole ordeal taught me one thing. People will show you who they really are when they think you're powerless. My wife mocked me because she thought I was beneath her. Her friends laughed because they thought I was nothing. But power doesn't need to be announced. It reveals itself when the time is right. And when that moment came, I didn't just reclaim my dignity. I took back everything they thought they could control.